Alright fellas, today we are breaking down a maximum effort session, giving you a template of how you can run your max effort session for the conjugate system. Okay, I did something like this for the bench press and for the upper body session, so now we're doing one for the lower body session. So the template is at the end of the video if you want to skip to that, but we're going to break it down here with the movements as you see them. So we're starting off with our max effort movement, as you may know, working up to a top single, practically maxing out, but keeping some juice in the tank. So I'm going to say this single right here that you're watching is about RPE 9. This is an SSB squat with some bands. The bands maybe have about 30 pounds of tension at the top. Okay, I don't really care how much tension. All I know is that the bands can really help to turn on your central nervous system and to help you get used to grinding. So pretty nice single. I had a little more in the tank, but I'm going to save it because I may have a competition coming up and I do not want to fail any lifts. After that, then we back down, hit some percentage of lifts, and right now our percentage is 85%. Okay, what we're doing is 3 sets of 3 reps, with the last set being an optional as many reps as possible. Okay, now the reason it's optional is because sometimes you may get to that 3x3 and it's going to feel hard enough to do, right? Depending on where you're at in training, but I feel pretty good today. So on the last set we do as many reps as possible. Obviously we don't go to complete failure. Well, that may not be the smartest thing on a squat, but we do it till we don't think we can get another rep or our form starts to really break down. So on the last set here, you're going to see I get 6 reps. The reason why we do as many reps as possible is because, for example, on this day, the 3 reps were quite easy. Let's say RPE 8, right? So I had some more juice left. So I want to make sure I get in that quality. I want to get that stimulus to tell my body, hey, look, we got to get stronger. We got to add some tissue to the body. So we have to give it that stimulus, right? That's by getting close to, not to, but close to failure. Right? That's pretty well acknowledged. So you do your max effort movement, then you back down. We did 85% for a 3x3, and then you hit your third movement, okay, which is a hip hinge. So it's like quads, and then you move it in glutes and hamstrings. Now, in the slot prior to this, past couple of weeks, we were doing RDLs, okay? But now, we switched it to good mornings. Very similar movement, but they feel a lot different, and for me personally, the good morning does not feel as stressful or as, what isn't stressful, but as intimidating, right? Because when you have to do RDLs, you get up to like 300, 400 pounds. Man, right? It can really tax you, but the good mornings hit you just as well. So today we did 3 sets of 10 ramping sets. Right now, the good morning is something that you wouldn't switch out as often as you would the squat, right? The max effort movement pretty much switches out every week, but this is more of your accessory work. So the good morning you might keep in for a couple of weeks. Okay, so we did 3 sets of 10 ramping sets. Right, 185, 205, 225. And the next time I do this movement, I could keep the same rep scheme and add weight. So I could do 195, 215, 235. Right? You can do your progressions how you like, but at the end of the day, we're trying to add some weight, trying to add some reps to our accessory lift so we can build some tissue, so we can again support our max effort movement and build strength. Okay, so boom, those are the main movements right there, the nice and heavy stuff, the stuff that may require some percentages and thought when it comes to progressing it further out. Okay, so max effort, back down work, which is squat, and then glute hamstring movement, right? Good morning, RDLs, snatch grip RDLs, what else can you, deficit deadlifts, wherever you are, block pulls, okay? Then we move on to the smaller accessory work where we're trying to really get a nice pump up the muscles of the lower body, and this is like traditional work. So right here is our quad slot. You could do leg extensions, reverse sled drags, you could do leg presses, you can do heel elevated squats or like lighter squats with tension on the quads, Smith machine squats. Right now we're doing split squats, okay, ATG split squats. Again, doing 2 sets of 8 and then the last set being like a finisher. So what we did here was 1 set of a minute, keeping tension on the quads. This really burned. You can give it a shot if you'd like, if you're a fan of ATG movements, but if you're not, then just go with a basic lower body movement. A leg extension is really good here, okay? Pump up the quads, right? Because the stronger our quads are, the more muscle we have on the quads, the easier our squats are going to be. And then we move on to abs. You might do abs at the end of your session, that's fine, but I do my abs a little earlier because they're a weakness for me. So 3 sets of 8 here with the cable ab crunch. And what I do here on the last set, is you're going to notice this theme, is we do it as many reps as possible. Now, again, it's the same theme. If I'm doing my 3 sets of 8, right, and I keep bumping up the weight week after week, and I get to a point where it's like, man, this 3 sets of 8 is going to be tough to get through, I just do my best to get through it, okay? But if I get to the last set, I'm like, you know what? I could probably go for some more reps. I'm going to, because we want to give our body that stimulus, say, hey, we got to grow, right? Does that make sense to you? I hope that it does. Okay, so I'm a big fan of the AMRAPs because it allows you to, programming is like, you know, you want to make sure you hit your numbers and get your work in, but some of it is, you know, it's like an art. You got to really get in there, work hard, and give a good effort. So 3 sets of 8, boom. Then you move on to your glutes, hamstrings, or lower back squat, right? Something for the posterior chain to pump up. That's not a compound movement like the Good Morning was. For me, I have a reverse hyper, you know, grateful. You can do reverse back extension, you can do glute ham raise, you can do a hamstring curl, whatever you please. But I had this reverse hyper. What I did here was 3 sets of 10 to 20 reps, single leg back and forth, okay? So as you can tell, it's higher rep, it's not very heavy, and I can't really go too heavy on this reverse hyper because of the way it's built. It was quite cheap, $150 off of Facebook Marketplace. All right, so lower back pump up work. I like doing more lower back stuff in general because I think that it contributes to a stronger squat and deadlift. And then we finish off with some calf work, okay? You may or may not do calf work. You may or may not think calf work helps your squat and deadlifts. It's debatable. I would say it really doesn't directly help it, but it doesn't hurt because, one, some people say that it stabilizes the knee, and some people say that big calves look good. So whatever reason, you might want to do some calves, I suggest you do them. So yeah, that is the whole workout. You can do any calf raise here, right? So you can do a seated calf raise, standing calf raise, barbell calf raise. This is what I'm doing here. There is the whole body, the whole lower body session, okay? Squats, hinges, pump up work. You can plug in any movement you want here. And I will end with this note that the percentage back down off the squat is something that I've always, you know, wondered about and played around with, because depending what phase you're in, right? If you are like, I need to just have more muscle in my body, you could back down to like 70%, 75% and do higher reps, like closer to the 10 rep range, okay? And do 3-4 sets depending on how much you're in shape, okay? And that would contribute more technically to hypertrophy gains. But maybe you're getting closer to competition and you want to get used to handling those heavier loads. So like we are right now, we're closer to 85%. Okay, and you can change that up, but I would suggest not to change up the percentages too often. Kind of stick to something and see how your body gets used to it, how it goes. Okay, so right now, the phase we're in is 85% 3x3 with that last set, possibly doing as many reps as possible. Okay, the other day, we still do lighter work with higher reps, right? Closer like the 6 to 8 rep range. So you'll still get that on the other day, but this is the max effort session. This is what we're doing to keep the work nice and heavy. I think that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be very happy to answer them. See, as you see, I have my collar shirt on, so this is a very professional video. And with that being a professional video, we'll end it with, make sure you train and make sure you also pray. The message is quite simple in and of itself. Okay? Stay strong. God bless. Peace.